if you look at the Linux, folder conventions, now typically you would put all the binaries or the executable files for any of the um, software that you have in the bin folder, right? So in Windows, you had the program files, right? So program files had all the softwares, right? So similarly in Linux, the /bin folder would have all the binaries or the executables, present in the machine, and the host specific system configurations is present in the /etc, right? So that's where you saw that under /etc we had the Hadoop configuration file. So all the configurations files will be in the /etc folder. And similarly, if you have add-on application software packages, that will be in the /opt folder. Okay, and /var /tmp /home is for the home folders, and /usr local is for the framework. So this is basically the Linux file folder conventions, right? Now let's try to install Spark on this machine. Okay, so first of all we need to download Spark, right? So again, you can download Sparks from the Apache Spark folder. We can download it directly into our machine, right? So let us do that. So here, if you observe, I'm going to use my browser in our virtual machine, okay, so that I can directly download it into our virtual machine. So I'm going to use this spark.apache.org downloads. Right, so now I'll go with 1.6.2 because this is a stable version, right? So we can pick up this 1.6.2, okay, and let's use something that is, okay, here pre-built for Hadoop 2.6, right? So choose the package which is pre-built for Hadoop 2.6. So we have installed 2.6.5. So let us choose a package which is pre-built for Hadoop 2.6, and so you can see here you get Spark 1.6.2 bin Hadoop 2.6 tar file. So download this tar file. Okay, so I'm saying download this. I say save this file, and I say OK. Okay, so just going to take another 30 seconds. Okay, so let us extract the Spark files. Okay, so I'll say extract it. So we have unpacked the binaries also. So we have extracted the star file. So we can see that now, the star file, we have the Spark folder, which contains all the Spark related files. Okay, so next, from step 3 onwards, it is all about trying to, rearrange the Spark folders as per the Linux convention, right? So to put all the Spark binaries in the bin folder and the Spark configuration files in the etc folder and so on, right? So let's do that preparation here. So the step 3 is to first we rename the folder containing the binaries by stripping the version information. So we have the folder now says Spark 1.4.1 blah blah blah, right? So I think it is, I'm using 1.4.1 here, so I need to change this to 1.6.2. See, when I built this, I actually built it using 1.4.1 because that was a stable version. So now let me just change it to the latest 1.6.2 here, right? So we will first rename this file folder as Spark, right? So let's do this here. So now if you observe here, if I go to my home folder, so home Hadoop, and if I do an ls, so cd downloads, so you can see the Spark folder here, the big one. Okay, so I'm going to just rename that as Spark. I'll say sudo mv, that is move the folder, the Spark 1.6 or do, and I'll rename this as Spark. So now if you observe, that folder simply became Spark. Okay. Now move all the, see the next step is, okay, move the configuration folder to the /etc folder, right? So the Spark configuration files, I want to move it into /etc just to follow this Linux conventions, right? So first of all, I'm going to just do this. First thing is I have to create a folder called etc, right? So I will create a folder called etc. I'll say sudo mkdir /etc. Okay, so /etc already exists, so don't have to worry about it. So now I'm going to go to the, oh sorry, yeah. So I'm going to go to /etc, change directory to /etc. It's already there, so there's many folders there. So within that etc, I'm going to make a folder called as /spark. So I'll say sudo mkdir within this Spark, right? So now so if you see here, so cd Spark, okay, so you can see that we have created a under etc we have created a Spark folder, right? So now let me go back to where we have all the Spark files. So I'll say cd home Hadoop downloads, cd home Hadoop cd, okay, downloads. Okay, now here under the Spark is where the Spark folders are. So what I'll do is, see, if you look at the Spark folder here, okay, now all the configuration files are in this conf folder of Spark. Okay, so this is where all the Spark configuration files. Now I need to move these files into /etc/Spark, right? So I'll use the command sudo mb move Spark, okay, okay, I'll just follow as per whatever the commands I've shared in the notes, right? So it will be in this folder, so under downloads. So from here I'll say cd sudo move Spark /conf, okay, and underneath that all the files into etc/Spark, right? So put it underneath that. So we moved all Spark configuration folder into /etc/Spark. Okay. Now, so we took care of this part where we are moving all the Spark configuration files into etc. Okay. So next, let us move the Spark directory to /opt. Okay. So if you recall, OPT is where we have all the application frameworks. Okay. So so the Spark is basically an add-on. It's an application framework. So we'll put this into slash opt. Okay, so I will say just perform this, move the Spark folder into opt folder, sudo move Spark into slash opt slash. Okay, so now I've taken care of moving all the other Spark folders into slash opt folder, right? Now, the next step is we need to change the ownership of the Spark home directory to our user Hadoop. Okay, so that we can without any interruptions work with Spark. So I'll say sudo chown Hadoop to the Spark folder, right? So I'll say provide access to the Spark. So I'll say sudo chown Hadoop. Hadoop is my username. Okay, so to my username, I'm going to change the slash opt slash Spark, right? So I've assigned the ownership of the Spark folder to the username. Now, next thing is we have to create a symbolic link to the Spark configuration, right? So I'll say just simply execute this command. Okay, so first you move to the Spark folder. Okay, so now the new Spark folder is slash opt slash Spark cd slash opt slash Spark. Okay, and here you create a symbolic link to the configuration folder, right? So I will say, so just perform this to create a symbolic link to the configuration folder. And so when you're looking for the the configuration folder in the slash opt slash Spark, it should point to basically slash etc slash Spark. Okay, so we're just creating a symbolic link to that folder. So I'll say sudo link -s, it's symbolic link. So I'll say etc Spark. Okay, etc Spark to this folder underneath this called conf. Okay, so there'll be nothing inside this. So basically, if you refer to slash opt slash Spark slash conf, it will be pointing to etc Spark, right? Now, the next step is we need to inform the Linux environment where is Spark on this machine, right? So just like how you did with Hadoop, here also you have to make changes to the bash environment, right? So, okay, so instead of nano, you can use gedit here, right? So sudo gedit, open the bashrc file. I'll open the bashrc file, so I'll say sudo gedit home Hadoop .bashrc, right? So we got the bashrc now. So I'll go to the end of the file. So you can see all the variables that we have set for Hadoop. Okay. Now let us put some for Spark as well, right? So I'll say Spark variables start. These are just some comments I'm just putting here. So Spark variables end, right? So now I just need to set three things. First is the Spark home. So I'll say Spark underscore home. Now that is, where is Spark now? It is in OPT/Spark, right? So that's where it is. So Hadoop, we put it in USR local because that was a distributed framework. Now since this is an application, so we'll put it in /OPT/Spark. And we need to include Hadoop bin and Hadoop SBin into the path, right? Just like how we did here, right? So I'm just going to copy these two lines. And so I'll say it would be $Spark home /bin and $Spark home /SBin, right? So all you need to do is just add these three. Add these three lines in your .bash RC. So I'll say first of all sudo gedit home Hadoop bash RC. So I'll share this line and simply add these three lines within this file. Save this file. So I'm saying save, okay, and close this editor. And once you make any changes to the bash RC file, you have to do an exig bash, right? So update the bash settings by saying exig bash. Okay, yes. So here, save the file, exit the editor, and I'll say exig bash. So I'll say here step 9.1. Okay, so update the bash settings. Okay, by just performing exig bash. Just create a log folder for Spark, okay, and also create a TMP folder for Spark, and basically configure the Spark environment. Okay, so first of all, we'll have all the log files in the /var folder. So we'll make one, folder for, putting all the Spark's log files in the /var, and then we'll also assign the ownership of that folder to our user Hadoop. Okay, so the next thing is I'll say sudo mkdir /var and /spark. Okay, and I'll say sudo chown Hadoop, say /var and spark. Okay, so that will take care of creating a folder for Spark log files. And next, similarly, create a TMP folder. Okay, so I'll say sudo mkdir /tmp /spark. Okay, and again you can do the same thing, sudo chown Hadoop /tmp /spark. Now, following this, we want to configure the Spark environment. So, to configuring the Spark environment, we have to use this environment, configuration file called as sparkenv.sh. So for Hadoop, we used Hadoop env.sh. So here for Spark, we'll use sparkenv.sh. So we'll use gedit for this. So I'll say sudo gedit. So I'll say etc spark spark env.sh. Now it's basically a template. So we need to basically do a couple of things here. So we need to set here. See, this is where it gets different from Windows. Now here in Windows we use this winutils.exe that stub we used just to kind of simulate that it's a redundant task, right? Because we were not using Hadoop there. Now here we want to configure the Spark so that the Spark can run on this Hadoop cluster, right? So the Spark needs to know where is Hadoop on this machine. Okay, so for that it is looking for some of these variables, that is Hadoop _conf_dir. Okay, and similarly for the yarn and client mode. So these are some of the things. Okay, so this is just a template here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some of the options here, right? So I'll just go somewhere in the middle and I'll add few export. So I'll say export. So Hadoop conf dir. So this is one of the variables that I want to set. Okay, so I'll say export Hadoop conf _dir, and this should be set to the Hadoop location, which is USR local Hadoop etc Hadoop. So this is where it finds all the Hadoop configuration files. So by looking at the Hadoop configuration files, Spark knows where to where to find Hadoop on this system, so that whenever it is trying to deploy the Spark application on Hadoop, it knows where to connect, where is this master services for yarn. And similarly we'll put export yarn conf dir. Okay, I'll say equal to the same thing. So if it wants to find the files on Hadoop, it needs to know where is name node, which is the master service, right? So for that you put this Hadoop conf. So if Spark wants to connect to the resource manager, it will look at the yarn conf, and to know where to put the log files, it will look at, so I'll say export Spark _log _dir. So where is the log files we have configured? So that is in var/log/spark, right? So that's the folder which we have created. So I'm going to make that as the Spark's log directory, and one more folder, export Spark _worker _dir. So working directory. Now that I'll set as the /tmp/spark, which we just now created, right? So this way, all the temporary files, the intermediate storage for the Spark application executions, it will use Spark worker dir. So now I'm going to save this file. Okay, I'll save this file as, so save as, and I'll just change this template. So I'll make it as spark env.sh. So I say save and I close this. So all we did was we downloaded Spark and we extracted the Spark file and we just distributed them and arranged them in a way we follow the Linux convention. That's all we did, right? And now we are configuring the Spark environment using this spark env.sh. So I'm going to close this file. So we configured the Spark environment and that's it, right? So if you have come to this point, we are through with Spark installation on Hadoop, right? So we created a Hadoop cluster and we installed Spark on top of it. So we now have a lab where we can test Spark application on clusters, Hadoop clusters, right? So now just to check if Spark is working fine, so I'm going to open the Spark shell like we did in Windows, and we should expect to see something, the Scala REPL, same way how we saw in Windows. So you got a SQL context also. There you go. So we got now the Scala REPL.